Hey man, what's happening y'all, man? Working on the new setup, already got the new mic going. I know I sound a little bit crisper. We're getting a lot more upgrades to the equipment all around, so everything's gonna be better. The streams are gonna be better, super HD, all of that. So get ready for the upgraded version of Street Scores real soon. But today, we gotta talk about a lot, man. We have to talk about the current injury situations amongst the Washington football team heading into the first day of training camp. And we also got to talk about how Rivera feels about these unvaccinated players. There's a lot to discuss, but before we get to it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Also, make sure you check out the rest of the channel. All of my videos are organized in playlists. I even have a comedy playlist for all of my funny videos, so make sure you check out the rest of the channel as well. Also, check out the Jamin Davis rookie film session I just did. The rest of the rookie class is on the way. Without further ado, let's get it. Alright, so first of all, Landon Collins is good to go. He is not on the PUP list. He is a full go, which is crazy because we thought he may not even be able to start week 1 as far as health goes, recovering from his severe injury from last year. And so with that, I was like, oh yeah, there's almost like no way he's gonna be ready day 1 of training camp, but it looks like he is. So we gotta do with that information as we will. I still hope Cameron Curl is starting, but Landon Collins is the second highest paid DB in the NFL this singular season. So it's no way we're not going to be able to just put him on the field a lot to a certain extent. I still want Cameron Curl having more responsibilities and doing more things and having more snaps, but Landon Collins has to see that field. And Landon Collins is a good run stopper. He can occasionally cover a tight end if you need him to, but we'll see, man. We had this whole training camp to figure out how this Cameron Curl, Landon Collins dynamic is going to work out. But there was some other big news. First of all, Greg Stroman and Curtis Samuel started off on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list. That's fairly surprising. The reason I'm not super surprised because he was already dealing with the injury all through mandatory mini camps and he barely even participated. So him not being ready to go training camp day 1 isn't too much of a surprise, but it's still like, okay, so this injury may be a little bit more serious than we believed originally. I still think he'll be ready to go week 1 because it's not that bad of an injury. He just has this nagging groin issue going on right now, but I think he'll be straight by week 1, so nothing to worry about. But we want him back as soon as possible because he's a free agent signing this offseason. So even though he's had experience with Scott Turner before, he doesn't have a lot of experience with Ryan Fitzpatrick or Taylor Heinicke. He has none, actually. Doesn't have much experience with the new and improved Scott Turner. Doesn't have much experience playing with any of these other receivers around him. So I don't want him coming out week 1 looking like he's been hurt all offseason. I want him to be as far ahead as everybody else is as far as learning this offense when we go play the Chargers. I want him already having chemistry with the quarterback and everything. So it's a little bit to worry about, but as of right now, not too much. We'll see later on. Then also, potentially starting right tackle and ex-starting left tackle from last year, Cornelius Lucas is starting off on the COVID-19 list. That's a little scary. He's definitely going to miss some time from that. And then the non-football illness list, Tim Settle and Deshazor Everett. And that's really ugly, especially for Deshazor Everett, because he's one of my surprise cuts that may not make the 53-man roster, so he needs to get out there as soon as possible because guys like Derek Forrest are fighting for that spot. Then you also have a non-football injury list with defensive tackle Devarro Lawrence on it. Then did not report, just straight up, tight end Tyrone Swoops and guard Najee Tehran. And then we waived defensive end Jalen Jelks because of an injury and tight end Deion Yelder. But the most notable things from that are Cornelius Lucas, Deshazor Everett, Tim Settle, Curtis Samuel, and Landon Collins. All of those but Landon Collins right now are a bad look. Again, no need to panic first day of training camp, but we need to get everybody back and on the same page. But it is pretty good to hear that Landon Collins is healthy, and we'll see how that situation unfolds because again, Cameron Curl needs to be on the field as much as possible, and they literally play the exact same position. We need a free safety alongside them. I don't really see a situation where Landon Collins and Cameron Curl can really be on the field at the same time, unless Landon Collins is playing somewhat of a linebacker role like he's been saying he doesn't want to for the past couple of years. And then again, there's a free safety with them, like a Bobby McCain or a Jeremy Reeves on the field at the same time. Maybe if it's goal line, you will not need a free safety, and those could be your two only safeties on the field. But other than that, with Landon Collins' lack of coverage skills, and Cameron Curl, I love him. He can pretty much do everything in the secondary except for be like a really good rangy free safety. So they need somebody with some range out there on the field with them at any given time. Gonna be a really interesting situation to watch. But moving on, and kind of the more pressing matter and the more interesting matters is how passionate Ron Rivera is about these unvaccinated players and the situation with all of that going down. First of all, as a lot of y'all may know, we're the least vaccinated team in the NFL, but at the same time, last year, we had the least COVID cases. We had 2 players, and neither of them were even on the active roster at the time. So we literally handled the pandemic last year the best out of any NFL team, period. But going into this season, we ironically have the least amount of vaccinated players. It was less than 50% a couple of weeks ago. Now it's getting north of 60%. So it's increasing, but in comparison to a lot of teams out there that are in the 80s and 90%, it's getting a little ugly for us. Because as many of y'all may know, the NFL put out this memo that if unvaccinated players are catching COVID and it's enough of them, you will have to forfeit games. You'll literally take an L, and then not only does your team not get paid, none of the players get paid their weekly checks. So like Jonathan Allen and Logan Thomas, who just got these big time contracts, are gonna lose money than these guys on rookie deals or these end of the roster guys. So they have the most to lose. And then even on top of that, the team you're going against loses their paychecks as well, which is just crazy. Like, that's insane that the team that has nothing to deal with nothing, doing everything right, also loses a paycheck. So this is going to be the ultimate peer pressure amongst locker rooms for vaccinated players to try to get unvaccinated players to either play or just leave football alone and not get them caught up in all of the chaos. I don't like how the NFL went about it exactly, but you can see the logic behind it. But at the same time, like they're saying they're not making it mandatory to get vaccines, but the way that they're isolating people is mandatory. But to the main story, Ron Rivera had a presser today, and he addressed the team's player vaccination rate. He said, quote, "We're hopefully trending in the right direction. We're not where we want to be, obviously. We need to do a good job of making sure we inform them to make an informed decision." And then also on the vaccination rate, he said, "I think it's frustrating, especially since last year we were #1 against COVID." Remember, he was going through his cancer situation, and we didn't exactly know how COVID could make that worse and how he would be far more susceptible to COVID back then, and how his immune system could be deficient while going through chemotherapy. So our team was on their A game. And again, we only had 2 players, not even on the active roster, that caught COVID last year. We were the best against it last year out of the entire NFL. So they stepped up for Rivera last year, and he wants them to step up again this year and get vaccinated. Rivera also said that he'll sit down with unvaccinated players and talk to them about their reasoning. Won't force them to get it, but said he'll let them know it's not just about them, but others. You're risking not just your paycheck, but also other people's paychecks, like I already said. And then also, even as frustrated as he is with the unvaccinated players, even though they know exactly who and who is not vaccinated, Ron Rivera said that the team is not going to put anything out there to signify who is and who isn't vaccinated. The team knows that information and will keep it in-house. So that's good. That's mature Rivera, because he clearly wants the unvaccinated guys to get vaccinated, but still just being who he is, he's not going to put them on the spot. And then Rivera brought up how Denver had to play a wideout at quarterback last year when all of the quarterbacks caught COVID, or at least were in COVID protocol. So like they were just going into that week knowing that it was about to be an L. Again, talking about how unvaccinated players can hurt the team, he said, quote, "It can be a huge disadvantage." Again, it's not even like last year where you catch so many people you could try to reschedule, or like the Denver Broncos, they didn't have any quarterbacks, so they just went out there with a wide receiver. Now, you're more than likely just gonna have to forfeit the game and not even get a chance to play. It's just a straight L. Nobody gets paid. None of the players get paid on either teams. And then Rivera opened up about his cancer battle last year and the lack of vaccines for his players now. He said, "I'm truly frustrated. I'm beyond frustrated. I'm immune deficient, and with this new variant, who knows?" So he's scared, he's frustrated, and he's basically like begging his players to get vaccinated. He also said, "Part of the reason I walk in with a mask on is because I'm immune deficient. I just hope that our guys can understand that." So even as he's vaccinated, and on one side note, all of our front office and coaching staff are vaccinated, so that's pretty good. But even so, he still wears a mask because he doesn't want a chance catching COVID with him being immune deficient, especially with this Delta variant going around. Ron Rivera said, quote, "He is perplexed, truly frustrated and beyond frustrated with this current unvaccination rate that we have right now. I mean, even while vaccinated, he's like required to wear a mask when he gathers with the players, especially since a lot of them are unvaccinated. He's really afraid for his own health. I mean, his own life. He's at far greater risk than just a normal player. And Ron Rivera is doing whatever he can to get everybody vaccinated. He's bringing scientists in to talk to players personally. Hasn't really worked yet, but we'll see. Again, as Rico of Street Scores, I'm not forcing anybody to get the vaccine, but you do have to understand, especially with the Rivera, with the immune deficiency that he has after his chemotherapy from battling cancer, that it really is no options other than get vaccinated and play or don't play. There's really no middle at this point. So guys like Montez Sweat have to make a tough decision, because even if you don't do it for yourself, do it for the players around you, because now the NFL has passed the responsibility and blame to the players. It's going to be a civil war, a lot of peer pressure in the locker room, and then also do it for Rivera, who's a very special case amongst just the entire NFL. I think Rivera may be the only head coach that's at this much of a risk of possibly dying if he catches COVID, even while vaccinated. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video, especially Curtis Samuel being on the PUP list and Landon Collins not being on the PUP list. I honestly thought it would be the exact opposite. Also, please like this video if you liked it. If you learned anything, I'm pretty sure you learned something, so you gotta leave a like on the way out. And as always, man, I appreciate all of the support, man. Shouts out to everybody that donates to the channel. I'm telling y'all donations are going into a great place. You already hear the upgraded mic. You're gonna see an upgraded stream in general. Everything's gonna run smoother. Everything's gonna be more HD. Y'all are gonna love it. You'll see the quality and the entertainment behind every streaming video is about to get upgraded big time. It's on the way. Mic came first, everything else coming after that. And also, a big shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, name you see scroll on the screen right now. And a special shouts out to my one All-Pro sponsor, Jaden. Again, I really appreciate y'all. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.